Hello, everyone. It is an alert day. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Keeping an eye on the radar trends as we are continuing on through this Thursday. It's 12:52 live right now. We are keeping an eye on flash flooding more than anything, and that is causing some big problems across the area as well, especially as you head across central areas of Kentucky. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a live feed we're going to check on here in just a second. But just as a reminder, again, if you're watching on streaming or Roku or on Amazon Fire Stick, you're going to see just the feed. But if you want to comment or anything you want to report, you need to go to a social media page like YouTube, Facebook, or to Twitter. I do see your comments. I see Glenda as well as Lauren and Todd and Nancy. So thank you so much for your reports and your hellos. I appreciate you guys watching. But again, let me try to get through some of the reports we got. I'll explain the setup, and then still, if I haven't answered your question fully, let me know, and we'll get back to you. I want to begin, though, with some amazing video that we've been tracking out of Bullock County. And I want to check in live right now with our own Nick Pick, who is standing by at the moment there into Bullock County, where we're watching some of the flooding at the moment. And Nick, the video that we've been watching with you has been just absolutely amazing to watch, because it's one thing we tell everyone not to do: don't drive in flooded roadways. First off, explain in a little more detail where you're at and what exactly is happening there at the moment.
I mean, are you not kidding, right? Like, you tell people turn around, don't drown, and we had this video for probably 35 to 40 minutes here, and it's still happening now. People are just driving through the water. So that road that you see people driving through the water on, that's Preston Highway. People are trying to go north on Preston. And we're sitting, as I kind of pull this out to give people a better vantage point, we're at the corner of Preston and 1494. So to my right is south, to my left is north, and back that way, Brian, as we get back towards north, is we talked a little bit about Chapiz Lane, kind of by near the Beam facility. We were down there, and it was closed off for a little while, but now this is kind of, we've situated ourselves onto the other side of that first situation. So we've been sitting here probably, what, Marty, 35, 45 minutes at least. And people have just been driving back and forth through the water. And to be honest with you, I thought that there was gonna be a car or two that would stall out, because at one point we were backed up, maybe as I go back to the roof camera where the one car has the brake lights on, we're probably backed up 10 or 15 cars of people. and trying to maneuver around each other and back up and put it in reverse. It was insane for like 30 to 45 minutes, truly.
Well, and one thing that I noticed, Nick, was there was a semi at one point that was going through that roadway, and you don't even know if even the asphalt itself is even still there when you take that right-hand side, especially that road there.
One thing was crazy. So we saw a box truck sitting in the flooded part of the water. And I think it's probably better if I just show you the flooded part of the water, right? Or flooded part of the road, excuse me. So we had a semi truck sitting in that part, and there was a gray 4-door sedan in front of it trying to pull a U-turn in the flooded roadway around the box truck back out going south on Preston. And like, I don't know what it is, but when this happens, this localized flash flooding, it makes people do some wild stuff behind the wheel, man.
You're exactly right. And, this is one of those things where Ryan Hoke and I were watching this feed. Actually, the entire newsroom has been watching this feed. And we're just like, what is happening here? And you've had more, at least on the radar, I'm about to show it in a second, but more heavy rain falling through the area. What has been the rise condition as far as the water level since you've been in that spot?
And here we go. We got some people talking to us. How we doing? You guys okay? I don't know what it looks like on that other side, but you guys are coming from there. What did it look like over there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. We were on the other side of Chappies, and we could kind of get through by the Beam facility, but I don't know what it looks like back there. We've been watching people do U-turns like y'all just did. Yeah, you can get to 65 going south this way. But you can go north. I mean, you can go either way on 65. It don't matter.
Yeah, north was more open.
We got people, Brian, talking to us who had just pulled a U-turn because they didn't want to drive through the water. So this is better. They're asking us for information here, asking how to get to 65.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're there. And 65, of course, has been quite a mess, as you know, with the semi crash, where that semi, which I think it's unrelated to the flooding, but where that semi crossed over in the northbound side, and we understand that is going to be closed. Actually, just got an alert on that. Help me read it right now about that incident.
I think 65 is open, and that would kind of lead.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense because the traffic this way has died down a little bit. So that would lead me to believe that 65 is at least open and passable.
Yeah, I just saw the alert. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but yeah, I think the backup is going to be so extensive in that area, so everyone's kind of just taking those different routes to try to get around it. So. And you run into problems like this. And it's not the only report, Nick. We're getting reports of high water, flooded roadways, people that were trapped in cars. We're hearing that as well across portions of Marion County. Now into Taylor County, they're doing evacuations.
You were in the middle of asking me something, though, before this car came up. What were you in the middle of asking me?
That's a good question. Oh, the water level. What have you noticed on it? Is the rain still falling heavily there? Because the radar, I'm going to show it in a second, but I know it's been steadily falling in that region, but I was been curious. Wow, look at that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Why?
So
you don't do that.
Kind of a mirror image of what we saw for like 35 to 45 minutes. Straight.
Well, and that's the thing. Only 6 inches of water can knock a person down. A foot of water, which in some cases is probably getting up there in some areas, that can actually lift the car off the pavement. So this, guys, if you're watching right now,
this, Brian.
Yeah, this is the example that we always say of things you just do not do in flash flooding. You do not know how much of that asphalt is still there from the heavy rain. It could have washed away. So you may think, I know this road. I know it has a little bit of a dip, and I know where it comes out over an overpass, wherever the case may be, but it may not be there.
So I'm going to answer your rain question now, too, really quickly. Okay, so when we pulled up here, what is it? Probably noon, Marty?
Well,
10 afternoon?
10
afternoon. So when we pulled up around 10 after 12, it was not really raining that hard. Around 12:30 or so, ooh, my camera's straying on me. Around 12:30 or so, the rain picked up really good, and the water continued to rise. So when we got here, it didn't look this bad. And then it continued to rise as we sat here and just put the camera on it. So as people continued to drive, it got worse and worse and worse. But now the rain has slowed down a little bit more or less a glorified drizzle to what I can see on the windshield. But at one point around 12:30, somebody tried to talk to us and ask us if we were okay and we were safe. And we were soaked. Marty and I were soaked just rolling the window down to talk to them. Now it's not as much the case.
All right. Well, Nick Pick, thank you so much. I hate that you have to witness all that, but I'm glad you guys are at a safe distance. And let us know if anyone needs help or anything we can do here at the station. And be safe. I got a feeling we're going to be talking to you again. So stand by.
Yeah. And if nothing more, we're out here to catch it and to let people know what not to do. You know what I mean?
You got it. Nick Pick, live from Wave there at Highway 245 as you head into areas in Claremont into Bullitt County. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Nick. Stay safe, my friend.
You got it.
All right, guys. So what is the latest here on the radar? That's where we're going to be tracking some of that heavier rain that Nick was basically seeing some of the lighter version of that. Let me kind of zoom in a bit in the area. And again, he's located there into Bullitt County, right, as you cross into areas of Nelson if you were to keep taking 245. But it is a steady rain, but it's not overly heavy, but steady enough that it's going to keep the water levels fairly high. And again, flash flood warnings are still out for that area. They did extend those flash flood warnings until 3 o'clock. They've been extended out. So be aware of that because it's going to be a high water issue for a while. So what is the ordeal for the rest of the afternoon especially? Well, we've got a setup here that is really focusing more and more on southern Kentucky. And at the moment, the radar doesn't look like it has much of a bite to it. Let me switch over to Paducah, and you see a few more of the cells that are forming here. This is the area we're watching as you head toward areas, I would say Hopkinsville, Bowling Green, all the way up to about Grayson County. That is the area that is, and it's still in a zone where you can get some damaging winds, and even a brief tornado can't be ruled out. We're still leaving that on the table because, as you can tell by the rain band, notice it was more east-west, and now it's lifting to the north. So it's kind of pivoting, and it is that pivot that is happening that is allowing for warmer flow of air to get involved and just enough instability to keep the severe threat going. But there's no doubt, I really think the rain event is going to be one of the bigger issues. Now, we are fully aware of the cells that could still move in northwest of this. In fact, you see them popping into Illinois. I'm not sure what that is, sorry. As you head into Illinois and just west of Louisville, these cells here are in a very interesting environment because the air is relatively worked over, but there is a surge of higher dew points trying to push into the Wabash area just west of Louisville. And there have been a couple of models that want to try to develop these cells. Now, at the moment, everything we've been looking at behind the scenes is trying to hint that this will be more of an elevated nature of cells, so it will likely be more of an issue of hail that will be falling in the area, not so much a tornado threat. But again, this is an ever-changing setup. Some of the data has been somewhat on par with what the reality has been today. Some of it's been off the rails, as you guys are fully aware. So we can't really trust too much of the modeling. We just got to now cast this as much as we can. And the sun is coming out west of Louisville. So these are cells that we are watching, I promise you. But in the short term, it's going to be southern Kentucky. And then we'll see what happens just ahead of the cold front as we head into about 6 p.m. But we're not going to be out of the woods, guys, until we get to the 6 p.m. time period. We're going to have to keep it going for the alert day itself. Let me show you the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, they moved that risk a little more south in the most recent update, only because the sun's been out much of the morning around Nashville, so they're more prime for severe weather into Nashville. As you head into central Kentucky, that's a spot they're watch as well. But notice the marginal is not completely out of the realm of possibility, even across Indiana. It's just the threat is a little bit higher. The tornado potential is still there. More of a hatched area down around Nashville. That's where I believe, let me check, they were about to issue a severe or a tornado watch. They did. Okay, the tornado watch, it looks like it does not, sorry, I'm away from the mic. It does not include any of our counties. Let me see if I can get it displayed for you guys. Hold on one second. This is a tornado watch for areas just south, really, of wave country that I could see at the moment. Bear with me as I get on the actual watch itself. These are some of the counties or the watch box, and it's right over the enhanced area. I don't see any of our counties listed. I do have Allen County, Barron County. Sorry, Allen County, Barron County. Let's see, Cumberland, Metcalfe, Monroe, Simpson, and Warren. So it includes Bowling Green. Is in it. So it looks like they actually, this is the SBC watch box. It looks like they actually drew it something more like this, a little more north to include southern Kentucky. But again, no wind and wave countries in the tornado watch. for this particular round. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. But again, I think overall it's not as rough of a look on severe weather as points to the south will be. We're going to keep an eye on southern Kentucky for the next few hours, and we'll keep an eye on the cold front that'll be moving in this afternoon to see how many cells can try to form along that. And we'll keep an eye on any flash flooding potential, although the radar trends were trying to relax a little more on that idea for the remainder of the afternoon. Here's a wider view showing that. And again, you can easily see where the cold front is. Right through here is where the cold front is located, moving across Illinois. And I'm telling you right now, once that front passes by, you're going to know it. Temperatures drop drastically. But for the next few hours, I think, again, we are going to take it hour by hour setup. I do not see this being a big ordeal on outbreaks at all. This is a relatively tamer setup than other events have been, but the flash flooding is by far the biggest issue we've got on the table. There's a live look down into E-Town at the moment. Let me show you real quick. This is where Nick was, and it looks like the cars there are not moving any longer. So I'm not sure what has happened in that area. Maybe they'll move here in a second. But you don't want to be stuck in that spot where the heavier rain is at the moment. We'll keep an eye on that. But again, I just noticed the traffic had stopped in that area. Hopefully they'll get those cars out of the way. I do know the emergency manager was on the way to that location, and hopefully they'll get that real close and get traffic away from that area because they need to. All right, here are the flash flood warnings that are out. Most of these are going to be Central Kentucky, Greene, Hardin, Taylor, LaRue, all the way into Bullitt for another 1 to 2, maybe 3 hours. Could it get extended? No one in Indiana is any flash flood warning. There is a flood advisory that was out earlier, technically still in effect for portions there of Crawford County and Orange, but the rain is easing back for you guys. It's Central Kentucky taking the brunt of it. The rest of the shaded area, the counties that are shaded, that is the flood watch that is out all the way through 1 o'clock in the morning, but it won't stay until that long. All right, here's what I was talking about. You see that warm surge right there, right ahead of where that front is. That's what we're going to be watching. It does have my attention. We'll see what happens here. It's a very narrow corridor to destabilize an atmosphere. There's very little time. That's about an hour, maybe 90 minutes of trying to destabilize before the front moves in. It can happen. You can get severe weather. It's happened before, but it's got a lot of work to do. We'll see, because this is a highly sheared environment. So we'll see how that trends. The only good news is the best shear is quickly moving east as the cold front is destabilizing the atmosphere ahead. The best wind shear is also leaving the area. So again, our concern is where do they overlap? And that's going to be a little tougher to figure out in the next few hours, but that's what we're going to be watching. Okay. So 59 right now into Louisville. We could still get into the 60s. Here's Futurecast. This is an hourly update on the model that's updated. This is a brand new update. So I'm looking at it with you guys for the first time. This is what is the time? 3:30. And 3:30, you can see right there some of those cells. Now, this may be a little far north. We'll see how much into Kentucky that can get. But some of those could pose a severe threat. It's certainly possible, even if you're not in the watch, even if you're not in the tornado watch. If you're south of the parkways, I think we need to watch you. And then we'll see what happens this evening. Let's see what happens with this latest update. This is a brand new update. Let's see if it pops the cells. Okay, it tries to right ahead of the front. The front is right here. See a little speck of green? That is where the front is. Just ahead of that, that's where we're getting some of those cells that could pop. And that's 6:30. That may be a little slow, so we're aiming for about 6. But just be aware. Just be aware that we're not letting our guard down at all on this setup today, because this is a rather complex one to track here. So if you have any flooding video or any type of wind damage that develops, as always, you could submit your videos and weather to our Wave weather app. Yes, we gather that to try to help show viewers what's happening, like we did with Nick in his live report, but we also are able to get that to the Weather Service and they get that documented. And it's important for that to happen because it helps in telling the storyline for those that are downline from it. The quicker you get those in, the better. So it's a community effort. Everyone pulls together, and this is one of the steps that if you want to help, it helps out a ton. I promise you on that. One more shot again of where Nick is, and you know what? Those cars are not moving. So I got a feeling they've probably closed the road, and they're just trying to, because I'm not seeing any additional traffic that has been added to that. So they're likely getting everyone away. And again, that's Highway 245 there into areas of Bullitt County around the Claremont area as we're watching. All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there for now. We're going to have more updates as we head into the afternoon hours, I'm sure, as we continue to watch the setup here unfold. and we see how much sun can destabilize to the west of Louisville. And we'll keep an eye on those of you to the south of the parkways. As always, appreciate you watching, and stay tuned for more notifications that may come out on the app if we indeed go live. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon.